Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful. I'm in the studio today and wanted to share with you the progress that I am making on my slow stitch journal. I have been following along with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I will put links down below if you haven't seen my previous video. And it's a 6-month project. Rachel and Sarah of Roxy Creations have put together this project. There's a Facebook page and Instagram hashtag that you can follow. I'll put all that down below, like I said. But I wanted to share with you, we are just a few months in, and at the beginning of every month, they give you 2 prompts that are just randomly drawn out of a bag. And then they spend, each week, they'll do a different step in the progress of that particular page. So they both post videos every Wednesday. Because they have different styles and, different things that they are teaching. So it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying doing it, and I finished my February page on the last day of February. I made myself stop. But I've been spending the last couple of days starting on my title page, which I will share the progress of that too. I hadn't done that part. So we started out just finding an old book that we could use the cover, making our blank pages that are our bases for our pages out of, I used just some recycled cotton fabric that I had. And then my actual book pages, I decided I would put them on this ticking that has a nice kind of a beigey colored ticking stripe. So I have I've shown these before, my 2 sampler pages. I'll put my title page there. And it took me a while to come up with an idea for my title page, just because I was so brand new to this. I really didn't know anything about slow stitching, not too much anyway, about how to put things together. So I kind of wanted to wait until I saw what my style might be for the inside, and that way I could maybe get a little practice and then maybe use some of the things on the pages in my title page to make it all cohesive. So even though we're only a couple months in, I decided I had time before the next prompts, so I thought I would just go ahead and go for it. So my title page, just to kind of show you, I wanted to show it before I get to really too much of the decorative stitching, because you do these kind of in layers, and you have your background base that you're using, and then you kind of collage over that with different fabrics. And so in this one, I used a big piece of lace that was recycled from making wedding decorations for my niece's wedding. And then I took a scrap of doily that I just cut a circular piece out of. And then these flowers that you see here and here, and then this part, I'm learning Photoshop still in Adobe Illustrator. And so I created this little kind of book plate title page panel and then printed it out on fabric. So I have my little Journal of Stitchery. I was really concerned that I wouldn't be able to figure out a nice way, tidy enough for me. Who knows what this will look like once I stitch it, but just some kind of guide to go by for my title. So I did it on the computer, printed it onto fabric, and then cut out just the pieces. I didn't want to just slap the whole page on there because I wanted the background fabrics to show through. So I just cut out the title and then the border that I liked, and then attached that. These 2 stripes of fabric are actually cut from this piece of recycled, it was an old sheet, and you can even still see the stitching in there. I used this one in my February page, so I did, kind of put some of that in there. And the background behind the birds is the piece of, it looks like stacked old wood, and I don't think I have another scrap to show you, but it's from the Kathy Holden, and I used some of that, I think, it's what's behind my tree in my January page. So I did use some of that behind the birds. The birds are actually cut from this piece of fabric, which is a piece of vintage fabric. I don't remember where I got it. It was just a swatch, I think, that I had found in a shop that I liked and bought. And I did use a piece of this in my my February page. I'll show you. But those birds were in here. And I cut them apart from each other because they were a little more spread out and they had longer tail feathers and things. But I needed them to fit within my space. So I just cut them apart from each other and then kind of put them back together, overlapping, so they would fit. So I have the birds, and like I said, this flower border is part of the thing that I created on the computer. So that's all I have so far. I am doing some little colonial knots that I've done on the dark red part, and then I've started stitching in the stem. I did go ahead and do some couching to just do around the border of my birds, and then I'll continue some stitching on those too. That was just my way to kind of get everything stitched down, and then now I can do all the fun part. So I did this in layers. If you've been following along with Rachel and Sarah's series, they kind of pin everything and then baste, do a big basting stitch to get everything down. But because of everything kept wanting to shift for me, I did it like the two background large pieces that pretty much covered my base. Stitched those down first with the hidden stitch. You can see all my stitching behind there. And then added the other parts just so that things weren't shifting too much while I was working. So that's where I'm at on that. Like I said, my sampler stitches, my February or January page. So my February page, I've already stitched in here. So I'll see if I can kind of pick this up and show you closer. And I don't need my cover. So my February page, I did a crocheted lace border again on the edge, just kind of to mirror what I had done there. I wanted it to look good with the page that it was going to be next to, and I think it turned out okay. It looks like a little cottage and a little cottage garden. So I put for my background fabrics, this is a piece of linen crewel ribbon, the wired ribbon that's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches wide. It had a kind of a viney pattern. This stitching that you see here, the green was, I just kind of went over the crewel pattern that was there. You can kind of see how there's a little stitching back there. But then I added all the flowers. It didn't have flowers on it. And then this is a piece of muslin behind here. And then on top of that, there's a piece of some music fabric that I think I also had used some. I thought I used some in here, maybe not. It's some that I had actually printed, I believe, a collage of music paper that I had printed on fabric. So I used that little swatch. This little bit back here is actually a scrap of painter's tarp. And I don't think I have a sample to show. Oh yeah, I do. It's just this fabric. And I didn't bring it with me. I'm in Studio B at the moment. I didn't bring it with me, but I had stenciled some lattice patterns with ink onto my painter's tarp at one time. And so I just had a scrap of that. I used that because it kind of reminded me of lattice. So you can't see, I mean, the color you can see is maybe a little bit darker because I had used the ink. But where the resist was for the stencil is where I did my lattice with stitching. And then, let's see. So the pink flowers that you see here and this, I used this fabric and just had cut out that little bit. So you can see that is this part of the flower. And then this, I think, I don't know which part it was. It might have been like something like this. I just did another little part that I cut out and put that there. But then you can see that I've added more flowers than were in my fabric. This that looks like lavender and that kind of thing. So I started with this as an inspiration and then just added added to it. So I guess I should mention that the prompts for this February month were neutral backgrounds. So that's why all my background fabrics are kind of off-white and beigey. And then fancy flowers, that was the prompt. So I had already done this neutral background. So at least that made it, you know, look good next to each other. And then fancy flowers, it was kind of a perfect month for me to do this. I have had a lot on my mind the last year or so. I lost my best friend in August from cancer, and she is a huge gardener, was a huge gardener, had just, that was her thing. And February was a huge month because of just events. She was really hanging on to try to make it to her first granddaughter's wedding, which was February 17th or 19th, now I don't remember, and Valentine's Day. And then for me, my son and his girlfriend share a birthday in February, and my best friend, her anniversary, her birthday was in February, and her 30th wedding anniversary would have been in February, and my wedding anniversary was in February. So it was just a big month. Lots of kind of things to think about. And so it was really good, a good month to do this flower theme, because it was really meditative and just made me feel like I was spending time with her. Her favorite was sweet peas. And I found this little piece of fabric that was from this Kathy Holden fabric, where it's just different book pages and dictionary and that sort of thing printed onto fabric, which, you know, we know how to do this. So I'm going to be making, I think for this March page, doing something like that for my own page. But there was this little book page, and it said the pea blossom, and then just these words in the first line, angel of God, and, you know, blew out into the wide world. And anyway, I just really liked what that said. So it was a perfect little piece to put there. And then I used a little piece of scrim just to kind of give it some more texture and kind of cover up part of the words. So I did cantha stitch in between the lines, reading between the lines. And then I did seed stitch all over this, which kind of reminded me of kind of like a burlappy thing. So I did seed stitch there. Lots of satin stitch in these larger flowers, and I really tried to give them dimension and layer them by going over top of stitching I had already done, or using different amounts of threads. So for the outlining, I would maybe use just one strand, and then, you know, for the little knots, maybe 2 strands. For the satin stitch, I would actually take, I don't have any variegated thread, so I would actually take 3 different colors of pinks and then take 1 strand of each, and then do my satin stitch. And then this has is the bullion stitch, which I really enjoy doing, and so that kind of gave it that dimension again. And then just some more kind of straight stitch and some little clear beads using that same color of thread. The leaves are just all stitched, lots of stitching. This is some turkey work, and again I used 2 different colors of green for the center. Lots of satin stitch. And then on this, I wanted some of the flowers to look more older than the newer blooms, and so I did some of it is with turkey work, so that it would look more loose, like the flowers are going to seed and those are going to fall. And then the tighter, smaller, I did them with some French knots, so they would just look a little a tighter, like a newer flower. And then lazy daisy stitch, and then this is turkey work but clipped for the little pom-pom kind of center of the flower. Some more bullion, and these are colonial knots. I found out that I really love doing colonial knots. I almost kind of like doing them more than French knots, and the way they look. And then just straight stitch, some lace there. This is some little organza ribbon that I cut into circles and then folded them into like quarters, the circles, and then just kind of stitched them down, and then did opened up the different petals, I would call these, and put little French knots inside just to kind of make them want to stand up a little bit more, just to give them kind of a three-dimensional look. Then the lavender is with sort of the lazy daisy kind of stitch. On the outside, the darker purple, and then I used kind of a blue and a lighter lavender on the inside just to kind of give the color, multicolor look. And I think that's about it. I did add a little bird. You know, this was kind of missing something here once I was finished. And I just thought with the music there, it would be cute to do a little bird, like the bird singing. So I did kind of a pistol stitch for the notes, and then just I kind of freehand drew it with one of those pens that what do they call that, the pen that can erase, and can't remember the name of it, but I'll think of it, and just did a little satin stitch for the bird. And then of course I put a little heart, because I had put a little heart on my bunny, and so I put a little heart on my bird too. So I think that's it. I love how it turned out. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing this one because I liked doing all the different flowers. I tried to incorporate maybe some more different stitches than I had done in this one, but I'm just learning, so I think that was a good, you know, second step after I'm learning a little bit more. And then it gave me kind of the motivation to get to working on my title page, so I'm enjoying that. And then I will start March. Since I'm not home with all my fabrics, I brought some here not knowing what the theme would be. And the theme for March, the prompts were vintage and reclaimed fabrics for the background, and a bright butterfly for the other little thing. So I will be doing that for March, and it will go here. So I've kind of started thinking about it, but I probably won't work on it for a few days. I think I'll get my title page finished in the meantime. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Click on subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I will hopefully be making another one soon, working on my Vintage Grunge journal. And I also want to do another one. I've been working on finishing up this little Bible cover that I had done. I want to do a video on this binding, or doing two different versions of this one. So I do have a couple things coming down the line soon. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.